Sheehan's rust-proofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Are you a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener? Of course you are. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call real estate superstar Mike Burgoyne today at 314-753-4060 or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com to earn special rates today.
60 Pickleball is an industry leader in high-end pickleball paddles. Use discount code CPRICE10 to get 10% off at 60pickleball.com. Don't get stuck on the court with an inferior paddle. Go next level with 60.
This is Carl Lindbom of Carl Lindbom's Carly Bon, and thanks for tuning in to Let's Go Blues Radio over the summer. You'll hear some of Jeff Ponder, a little of Bill Day, and unfortunately some of that nasty American Curt Price. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to episode 36 of season 14. This is episode number 517 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated. How can I blame you when it's me I can't forgive? We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. It's Thursday, July 3rd. It's not July 3rd, it is July 10th. And we're streaming live to the masses. The joys of a live show, Eddie. Make sure to follow us on socials at LGB Radio and like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. I'm your host, Jeff Ponder, joined by Eddie Garcia of the Puck Podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll get more to Eddie in a second. Bill Day and Curt Price are facing allegations, so they will not be joining us tonight. The agenda for tonight includes Eddie's views on the Blues moves, some NHL offseason discussion, a change in the Blues broadcast, which just came down the wire a couple hours ago, and more on this bad seed episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Anyone who's a big Metallica fan may have picked up on some Metallica lyrics in there. I did that because my friend Eddie is a Metallica fan. So let's welcome to the show right now, Eddie Garcia, longtime real friend of mine, not just podcast friend. He does the Puck Podcast. He does the Locked On Kings work. Excellent stuff. If you're ever wanting to hear more about the Los Angeles Kings, as those of you know, with our friend Haley, who does the Blues work, it's a daily show, and Eddie's show is a lot of fun to watch and participate in. Eddie, thank you very much for joining the show today.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you? I see
doing very well.
I see the natural dark hair is finally starting to grow back in. Thank God.
It is. Yes, the wife is very happy about that. We're actually going to Vegas here. We're going to Vegas here in a couple weeks, and she's like, "Can you get all the blonde cut off before we leave?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." So, yes, fortunately for many people, I'm sure, because my mom hates it too, the blonde is going away. But Eddie, again, love having you on. I was just on your show recently, and we always say that I'm a fill-in host for the Puck Podcast, but for those that maybe, and we talk about the Puck Podcast on this show, but those who may be new and may have just for whatever reason tuned out whenever we talk about the Puck Podcast, explain how long you've been doing it, what people can expect when they hear your show, and how they can find the Puck Podcast.
Well, it is a weekly NHL recap show. We put out a new episode every Sunday night Pacific time, recapping the past week in the NHL, and we are now in our 19th year of doing the show. It's one of the longest running hockey podcasts out there. I have to believe no one else has done it consecutively every week, except for one. People have told me that we shouldn't say that, but it's true. There was 1 week we missed. My dad passed away, and then my co-host Doug was in Australia, so it was a good reason why we didn't do a show that week. But only 1 week have we missed. Every other week we put out a show for 19 plus years. So I don't know if there's something for longevity. If that does something for you, then we're a pretty good show, I guess.
I mean, they can't just be one of the longest running hockey podcasts. That's got to be one of the longest running podcasts, right? I mean, good Lord, 19 years. That's a long time.
It is. I've never looked into it necessarily, but yeah, I mean, there have been some podcasts that have come and gone, that started around when we started, and maybe they're in, kind of a different version now. Hosts have come and gone or something like that, but it's been me and my guy, Doug Stolhand, old college buddy. Unfortunately, he's a Ducks fan. I'm a Kings fan, but we make it work. And yeah, every week we've been doing it. I assume because we are actual, good friends off the air, that has probably helped our longevity, so to speak. If it was just some guy that I was teamed up with at some point, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't still be going on, but yeah, we still have fun with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, we're coming up on our 15th season, and I'm always amazed when I see that. And then I always remember, I'm like, Puck Podcast is still going. You guys have been around longer than us. So very impressive. And actually, the first podcast I ever did in studio was with you and Mike Marengi, who was filling in. So haven't heard from Mike in forever, but good man. Hopefully he's still going to his NHL drafts, as I know he used to love doing. Eddie, also, so something you guys do on your show, and we'll make this brief because we've only got a short time with you. And I want to also stress to our audience that if you have any questions for Eddie or anything just NHL related, please start popping them into the chat and we will answer them as we can. I know this is not our typical time we record episodes, actually, or even our typical day. So, apologies for. I think last week we had like a consistent 40 people listening all at once, which was, kind of cool because it was, but people were very excited about the Blues moves, which I completely understand and we'll get to. But Eddie, something you guys do on your show is one of my favorite things is the off ice report. And those that listen to this show also know that we do something similar. We don't really have a name for it. Just kind of start the show very slowly, talk about what beer we're drinking or whatever, and then we slowly get into the hockey talk. But I wanted to ask you, because I know you are also a comic book movie nerd. Are you excited for the new Superman movie?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I have not intentionally said anything to my co-host, Doug. And I don't consider this any kind of a rivalry at all. To me, look, I like Star Wars and Star Trek. I don't think you have to pick one or the other. I have a preference over which one I like more than the other, but I like both of them. And I'm kind of a Marvel guy, and Doug is a DC guy. And I really, I watch some of the DC stuff, and I will say that I don't care for a lot of it, to be honest. So I know Doug had invited me to go see the new Superman movie with him, and I just said no, thank you. What I wanted to say was that movie looks terrible. I have no interest in watching it. So I don't know if it is or not. I think is it out yet or it was coming out soon. I can't remember.
It came out it technically comes out tomorrow, but I think there's some pre-screenings going on right now.
Okay. So yeah, I just said no thanks. And it's not, again, to me, it's not an issue of like, I have my allegiance to Marvel, so I'm not going to watch that. I don't care if it's good, it's good. And some of the DC stuff I've liked. I like the latest Batman stuff that came out, but I don't know. I mean, I saw the trailer and I thought that looks terrible. And if you can't make the trailer look good, that's a bad sign for me personally. Because anybody can make the trailer look good. Usually the trailer looks amazing, and then you go see the movie and you're like, either the trailer gave away too much or that sold me a bill of goods that didn't come through for me. So I don't know. I get the rebooting of things, and Marvel's doing their third version of the Fantastic Four that's coming out, so I could understand why people would kind of roll their eyes at that too. And I'm not even all that excited about it, to be honest with you. But no, to answer your question, no, I thought it looked terrible, and so I had no interest in seeing that. We'll see what Doug says about it on the Puck Podcast. I'm sure he'll be telling, and he'll be honest about it, because I know there was some movie he went and saw that was he was excited about that turned out being terrible, or I think that would have been like the second Shazam movie. I know he
Yeah.
loved the first one, and I did too. I thought it was good. I thought the first one was good, and he went and saw the second one, and he was like, "Man, that was just awful." So
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what it was. I did hear that episode. But yeah, I'll admit. So I'm not a big DC guy either. Batman is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. But for me, like the movies, this whole Snyderverse thing, I just was not into it. I don't even think I saw the second Aquaman or the second Wonder Woman. But in Superman, Henry Cavill was a good Superman. Don't get me wrong, but I just couldn't get into it. And so for me, I am actually excited for this. I do think, James Gunn's a local boy. He's actually from St. Louis.
okay.
And yeah, so that's part of it. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, it's also just like, I just think that it looks good. And knowing his track record with superhero movies, he knocked it out of the park with Guardians of the Galaxy. I am very excited for Superman. So, which is weird for me to say.
Did he do Suicide Squad or no?
No, I don't believe he did. I believe this is his first foray into the DC universe.
Okay.
Wait. I think he did Peacemaker, the show, which I have not watched yet either.
No, Doug tried to beg me to watch that, but I hated Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. I hated him in particular. So I was like, yeah, I got no interest in seeing that. He swears to me it's really good. No, give it a chance. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So
yeah, I love John Cena, and I'm the same way. Like that second Suicide Squad movie came out, everybody's like, oh my God, it's so much better than the first. And I'm like, was it? I was not that impressed by it. Trees in the chat over here says, by the way, welcome to the show, Trees. He says, comic book related question. Are either of you following any of the Absolute series DC has been running? I'll admit I have not been reading any recent comic books. Every now and then I'll see like one of the graphic novels that'll come out and I'll pick it up at the store and I'll read that. But like, I think the most recent thing I've read was Civil War II in Marvel, which came out in like 2014. How about you, Eddie? You reading any comic books nowadays?
I've never been into comic books. So that's all Doug. It's too bad Doug isn't here because he would probably be able to answer that question very well. I will totally admit I've only been into the Marvel movies. I didn't was not into the comic books growing up. So unfortunately I'm not into that realm, but yep. I did not go and see oh Lord, the latest Marvel movie, although it looked good.
Thunderbolts.
Yes. I'm one of those people that now that I have Disney Plus, I just wait for them to come out.
Yep.
At home. I like going to the movies, but it's always, there's a lot going on with my family right now. And just stuff like that just isn't really a reality. So I do want to see that. I thought it looked good. I heard it didn't do that great in the box office, but
no, but it was fantastic. I loved it.
I'm looking forward to it. It should be coming out pretty soon here on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think it comes out. Is it tomorrow? I want to say it comes out this month at some point. But yeah, definitely worth watching. I agree.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, you'll enjoy it. If you like the Avengers, if you liked Guardians of the Galaxy, the team up movies, I think you're gonna like that one. It's very well done. We've only got a little bit left with Eddie, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Do want to mention to our audience, typically this is where we take our commercial break. We're going to do that after Eddie leaves. And then when I come back, we will talk about the Blues broadcast news that came out today regarding John Kelly, Chris Kerber, and Joey Vitale. But I will be bringing that up with all of you as my co-host after Eddie walks away from the show here in a little bit. So let's get into the NHL. First of all, Eddie, as a man who really knows the NHL and a guy who's obviously reporting on it for various outlets, I want to talk to you about the Blues moves so far. This offseason so far, they brought in Pius Suter, Nick Bukestad, and Logan Mailloux. On the way out has been Nick Leddy, Zach Bolduc, Ryan Suter, and Radek Faksa. What are your thoughts on the St. Louis Blues moves so far? And do you think, and I know it's hard to tell, we're July 10th right now. Do you see them improving on what we saw them do last season?
I mean, nothing's going to blow you away here. I like Pius Suter a lot. I think he's been a valuable player wherever he's been, a little bit underrated I like that addition. Nick Bukestad's okay. I like them re-signing Joel Hofer. I think that certainly solidifies things in net. You got no worries there. Logan Mailloux, we'll see. I mean, young guy looking for a chance. Maybe he finds it in St. Louis. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But I thought it was okay. I don't think there's anything here that you're going to jump up and down and run to your computer and let me get my season tickets for this year. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything here that you're like, oh no, we've taken a step back, from where we've been a year ago. So probably the Pius Suter signing, I think, was probably the nicest signing.
Yeah, and I agree with that. We talked about it last week. Just his ability to score 25 goals on a Canucks team that really, to me, and maybe you have insight here since you saw the Canucks more than Blues fans did. They to me were underachievers last year offensively, and Pius Suter kind of filling in on that second line. I know he stepped into the first line when there was injury to I believe it was Pettersson. Yeah. As far as he goes, I think that was a perfect pickup, and something that I've noticed, which fans are crazy. Let's not overlook that fact. But a lot of times when a player is signed, I like to look at the team that didn't sign that player and see what their fans are saying. And Vancouver, I'm still yet to see a negative like, thank God, bye, Suter. Like, every fan I've seen has been like, we wouldn't pay that guy $4 million to come back. Like, that's ridiculous. He was one of the best offensive stars last year. So, to me, I look at that and I say, obviously the Blues made a nice pickup here because of what the fans are saying. But from what I've seen of Suter, I think it's also a very solid signing for the Blues to fill in that second, third center position.
Yeah, and you talked about the term too. I mean, $4.125 million per season for 2 years. That's very nice. I mean, you're getting a guy who is worth that money. You didn't overpay for him, and if it doesn't work out, you're not on the hook for him for 6 years or something like that. Maybe he didn't want to return to Vancouver, because I agree with you. I don't know why the Canucks would not want him back, but maybe the situation there in Vancouver was not to his liking. It was a bit of a soap opera for sure. They took a huge step back. All of that whole thing, the whole season long with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and having to trade one of them away. And just, there was a lot of negativity going on. Rick Tocchet leaves, so maybe he thought, you know what, I didn't really care for it here. I think I'm going to go back to the Central Division and we'll join the St. Louis Blues instead. A little more stable there than what he had going on in Vancouver.
Yeah, I found the Vancouver Canucks to have a very interesting last couple months. So they get rid of JT Miller. You think Pettersson might be on his way. I'm sorry, Besser might be on his way out. He resigns,
That was
and then you bring in Evander Kane, which fans have not been a fan of. Talk about locker room issues. That guy's been numero uno in the past. So for Vancouver, obviously they've got their goaltender, they've got the defenseman and Quinn Hughes, but maybe some questionable. Yeah. For now. Yeah. There was the talk that came out today that will he join New Jersey at some point? And I got to believe that's at least in the back of his mind, right?
I mean, there's already a ton of smoke around this. I know he's said that he is okay with Adam Foote being the new head coach, but he was a huge proponent of Rick Tocchet. He did not want Rick Tocchet to leave. So that didn't help things either. So we'll see. I mean, he's made it pretty obvious that he wants to play with his brothers at some point. And, if things don't completely turn around in Vancouver, I could certainly see him. I just think he's already kind of laid the groundwork to make this happen. What's more likely, that he leaves to join the Devils, or that both of his brothers leave New Jersey to join the Canucks? I'm thinking it's probably more likely that he leaves Vancouver. So we'll see. I don't think that would be out there if there wasn't something legitimate in it.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I think that there was a lot of Canucks fans that had a collective gasp when Luke Hughes was drafted by the Devils, because it was, two brothers together. Is Quinn going to want to go over there at some point? I think he's got 2 years left on his current contract, so a lot of things could happen in that time. And you mentioned you don't foresee two Hughes brothers leaving New Jersey. I also don't think it's a possibility that all three Hughes brothers go somewhere else. I think the only situation would be they all end up in New Jersey.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his contract.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So we do have a Blues question here, again from our friend Trees. Do you want the Blues to keep Falk or move him? And this is obviously for me, but Eddie, I want you to weigh in as well. For me, I thought he was going to be on the way out, but after Nikolaj was picked up on waivers by the San Jose Sharks, I think the Blues look at Falk as a good veteran leader on the back end with Cam Fowler and Colton Parayko. So, and Ryan Suter obviously is a guy that was a great pickup for the Blues last year, played great down the stretch, but he'll be 41 this season. I do not think the Blues will be bringing him back. So I think keeping Falk now is probably what the Blues want to do. Obviously, things can change if another defenseman becomes available that the Blues could pick up for cheap. Maybe that's an option, but I think right now, I think Justin Falk is here to stay, and I think this is the defense the Blues will have going into the season, if you were to ask me.
Yeah, I mean, the blue line looks pretty good to me. I mean, at this point, I mean, Fowler came in and did a lot of good stuff for you. Obviously, Colton Parayko will be back healthy for next year. Philip Broberg was a great get, and Falk fits right in there as well. So I think your top two pairings are pretty solid. I did want to ask you before I head out, I wanted to get this in. What's going on with Jordan Kyrou? I know the no trade clause has now kicked in, but is that still a possibility, and why?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There was a lot of talk, a lot of smoke. He was on like the top trade target list there for a while, and then the no trade kicked in at midnight on July 1st, and you thought, okay, smoke's gone, right? Like, but we're still hearing it. There's still talks of, I think it's I always say his name wrong, David Pagnotta. Of, I believe, fourth period, he was saying that he thinks that Kyrou could still be moved. There's talks that Montreal is still interested, and Jordan would want to waive his no trade clause to go there. I think it's, and I do usually prescribe to the fact that where there's smoke, there's fire. But I think this one is a lot of smoke. I think after I don't think Doug Armstrong has ever been actively pursuing trading Kyrou. I think it was a situation where it was, I will listen to your offers, which I think is a thing that any good GM should do. But I think once the trade deadline kicked in, I'm not the trade deadline, the no trade clause kicked in, I think Doug Armstrong said, okay, that's it. He's a Blue, until he tells me he doesn't want to be here anymore. Obviously, if he gets an insane offer, he's going to at least look into, okay, do I ask Jordan and his agent if we move him? But I think at this point, Jordan Kyrou is a St. Louis Blue, pretty cemented. I think a lot of it's just speculation this time of year. That's all we hear is speculation about what's going to happen. But right now, yeah, I think Jordan Kyrou is definitely here to stay. Eddie, I wanted to ask you, so there's obviously a lot that has happened in the NHL the past couple months, past couple weeks mostly, but I want to talk about the LA Kings. Again, Eddie hosts the Locked On Kings podcast, a team that Blues could be battling for either, supremacy in the Western Conference, maybe a wild card spot. So definitely interest there in LA. They brought in Andrei Kuzmenko at the trade deadline, re-signed him for a year, $4.3 million. Also brought in a guy that is going. The joke, right, is the Kings are going to be in the Stanley Cup final and lose because they brought in Corey Perry, 1 year, $2 million. And also a name that I thought was funny that came across, Logan Brown. I don't even know if you saw this one, Eddie, signed by the Blues. Jeff Brown, his son. God, he's like 8 foot tall or something ridiculous. Also signed by the LA Kings. Anton Forsberg brought in goal, and Cody Ceci, a defenseman that was signed 4 years. Was it 4 years, 18 million?
Yeah, 4.5.
Yep. So, what are your thoughts on what the Kings have done this summer, and do you see them bolstering up? Because it seems like the Edmonton Oilers are always in their way. Do you see this? These being moves that can maybe push them over the hump?
I mean, maybe. I get what the plan is. I would love to know ultimately kind of what what, how big of a swing did they make at some of the bigger name players? Mitch Marner supposedly had the Kings on his list, but I was not surprised he went to Vegas. I said I think he's going to Vegas a long time ago. It happened. No surprise there at all. And I get it. If I had my choice between Vegas or LA and I was impartial, I would pick Vegas as well. I think, they've been a more consistent winner. That market, they're the number one team in that market. That's not the case with the LA Kings in LA. And they've been a more consistent winner lately than the Kings have. So no state income tax helps as well. So I totally get why he would pick Vegas over LA. Ken Holland never even got a chance to make his pitch to Mitch Marner. They were all Holland and some of the brass were going to board a plane to go meet in face to face with Mitch Marner in Ontario. And then the news came out that he was going to Vegas, and obviously they did not get on the plane. They stayed home. So he never even got a chance to kind of sell the Kings to him. So that was, you can't blame him for that. I mean, the player chose another place. That happens. It wasn't like the Kings didn't make a better offer. I don't even know that they got to make an offer, right? He wanted to go to Vegas. He got the number he wanted, and so he was gone. Okay. Vladislav Gavrikov was a big loss for the Kings. He was their best defenseman a year ago. Filled in more than capably for Drew Doughty when he went down and played great and earned himself a big contract. I was very optimistic he was going to re-sign in LA. He never showed any indication that he wanted to leave. And then suddenly we're hearing he's going to the Rangers. And I don't know that he gave the Kings a chance to match, or if he wanted them to match the offer that he got, which I thought was pretty low, relatively speaking, $7 million a year. I thought he was going to get like $9 million on the open market. So that was a surprise. So I think the Kings had to fall back onto plan B and looked to kind of bolster in specific areas. And those areas were the fourth line and their third pairing on defense. And that's not sexy, but it doesn't mean that can't be the answer. So they've made their third line older, more experienced, playoff experienced, and bigger with guys like Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci. They added Corey Perry and Joel Armia to the fourth line. Again, bigger veteran guys who've been in the playoffs. The Kings did not trust their full lineup in the playoffs, and it showed as the series got deeper against the Oilers. So hopefully they've addressed that, and they think that making these very unspectacular but specific moves makes them a better team on the whole. They'll also have Andrei Kuzmenko for a full season. He was a wonderful fit at the trade deadline. Only Mikko Rantanen had more points of any of the deadline pickups other than Andrei Kuzmenko, which people may not know. So hopefully that wasn't just a hot stretch for him, that he does fit with the Kings the way he showed. He helped their power play immensely. So again, a lot of people have picked the Kings to be the biggest losers or one of the biggest losers in free agency. I get it based on the old guys they signed, but it might be just the thing they need. So I'm not going to say I'm super excited about the players they signed. It's not like they got Mitch Marner or somebody like that. You could be like, oh, wow, that's exciting. No, they're not exciting, but they might be what they need. We'll see.
Speaking of old guys brought in, something I didn't even mention, new GM and Ken Holland. What do you think of that signing?
Hard to argue with the resume. I know people will say, well, that was a million years ago with the Red Wings, but I didn't think he did a bad job in Edmonton. I mean, there are certain, signings you can talk about. You could point at like the Darnell Nurse signing or things like that, but the results were what they were. When he joined the year before he joined Edmonton, they were 7th in the West and didn't make the playoffs for 2 years in a row. He comes in as GM. They finish in second place every year he's there, and they make the playoffs, and they go to the Stanley Cup Finals and lose in Game 7 his final year as GM. So the results are what they are. I mean, you can certainly point at certain signings or certain things and say, well, that wasn't the best, this and that. The results are what they are. So the Kings are looking to try and make a push here in the next couple of years. I think Ken Holland is only going to be here for a couple of years. Try to fix this, try to push them over the top. And if it doesn't work, then they've got some hard decisions to make about, I don't know if it's a complete blow up, but it's going to be significant. Andrei Kopitar's in the last year of his contract. It'll be 20 seasons. Is this his final year? I think it could be. Drew Doughty's got 2 more years left. And then, eventually I think they officially kind of transition off the 2 holdovers from their Stanley Cup winning teams. And then we'll see where they go. But they're making a push at it for the next couple of years here, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And so I do want to ask you, we only got you here for another couple minutes. Lots of other moves, obviously, going around the NHL. You mentioned Mitch Marner going over to the Golden Knights, Florida Panthers keeping the band together, Nikolaj Ehlers going over to the Hurricanes, the Red Wings getting John Gibson from the Ducks. Just looking around the NHL landscape, is there a move or moves that you were like, that moved the needle, that team got what they needed, they are now a playoff team, or maybe even push them into Stanley Cup contenders? Any kind of moves like that that kind of stand out to you?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to look at Florida and just shake your head. I mean, Ekblad, I can't believe that he would sign for that little, but he wanted to stay there. And I know he gets an 8-year deal, but still, he could have got so much more on the open market, but it shows where his priorities are. He wants to stay there and wants to continue to compete for Stanley Cups. The Marchand deal, you could certainly shake your head at 6 years. And is that really legitimate? And how does the NHL allow that? But they did. I certainly get, Sam Bennett, maybe they overpaid a bit for him, but he's the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. So, I didn't think Florida could bring all 3 of those guys back, and they did. So they're going to be right there again for a three-peat. But if I had to pick a team, though, I really like what the Carolina Hurricanes did. Getting Nikolaj Ehlers was a nice get. They get rid of some of the older on the back end with Dmitry Orlov and Brent Burns going out. They're bringing Keandre Miller, who's obviously a lot younger, bigger, stronger. You can think what you want about him, but I kind of like that as an upgrade. And then they re-signed Logan Stankoven to an 8-year deal, who fit in really well with them, coming over from Dallas after the failed Mikko Rantanen trade, and then tried to sign him. Didn't work out, and they got a guy that fits them really well. So, Carolina's a team that has knocked on the door a lot, but hasn't gotten past, and they'll still have to try and get by Florida, which is not going to be easy. But I do like what the Carolina Hurricanes did.
No, I do too. And yes, I think Keandre Miller is a very nice pickup for them, getting younger. Eddie Garcia of the Puck Podcast, Locked On Kings Network, and the Locked On Podcast Network. Eddie, again, I know we kind of already did this a little bit, but I know, people obviously can find you Locked On Kings, Puck Podcast, all those. And then you're doing other work for the Locked On Podcast Network, correct?
Yeah, I'm one of the co-hosts of Locked On NHL Game Night. It's still around during the off season. We're actually interviewing all the hosts of all the other shows, kind of recapping their off season. But once the season comes, if you want a nightly recap of the NHL, then please check that out. Locked On NHL Game Night. Once the season gets going, every night we'll be there recapping the night in the NHL. It's like a nightly wrap-up show. So pretty cool.
Do you have our friend Haley Simon on?
She has been on. She has been on a few times. Yeah, during the playoffs, we have our correspondents from all the teams checking in and filing reports on their games, and she'll be talking about the St. Louis Blues for sure.
That's awesome. She does a great job, and as does Eddie. Again, check them out. Locked On NHL Game Night, Puck Podcast. You can find them on Twitter. I know Facebook at Puck Podcast if you search that, and then obviously Locked On Kings as well.
On LA Kings. You have to say LA Kings, or you get the basketball team in Sacramento.
That's right. Yeah, I always forget that. Locked On LA Kings. I will have to go through and edit the whole show. No, I appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Maybe we'll have you and Doug come on together sometime. It'd be great to have you, but really appreciate it, and continue to check out Eddie's coverage over at all the things we've listed over the summer. He will continue rolling out shows just as Let's Go Blues Radio does. We will take a quick commercial break, but real quick, Eddie, thank you again for coming on the show. Always love having any kind of conversation with you.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll return after these messages.
As a hockey player, Mike Burgoyne knows a thing or two about making the perfect play. And when it comes to real estate, he's always ready to score the winning goal for his clients. If you're a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener looking to score the home of your dreams, you'll receive special rates with Mike. Go ahead, shoot some questions his way, and he'll have the answer quicker than Curtis Joseph on a breakaway.
Curtis Joseph got the pedal down.
Any barriers? Mike will mow them down like Chris Pronger in front of the net. He'll score you your dream home or sell your existing home faster than a Brett Hall one-timer.
Flip past the Hall. He shoots. He scores.
See Burgoyne's real estate prowess in action today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or by calling 314-753-4060. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com, and that phone number is 314-753-4060. Getting Mike Burgoyne on your team will be the boost your power play needs.
The battle for the top spot in the league is on the line. Many warriors have entered the concrete jungle, but when the smoke clears, only one will remain. They all want it, but only one shall have it. Hide your children, lock your doors. Those with weak stomachs should almost certainly look away. This is Big Boy Pickleball. You have been warned.
Already know that you love hockey and you obviously already love the Let's Go Blues Radio podcast, but what about filling the gap between weekly Let's Go Blues Radio episodes? That's where the LGB Minute comes in. Hosted by Jeff Ponder, the LGB Minute is an entertaining, down and dirty, 5-minute St. Louis Blues podcast released multiple times a week to keep you informed of all things St. Louis Blues. So make sure to subscribe to the LGB Minute anywhere you listen to podcasts, like right now. Do it now. Just click subscribe. It's easy. Please. Now.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
And we are back. Well, I am back. And so anybody in the chat, feel free to chime in as we talk about the news that came down the wire today about the St. Louis Blues broadcast team. Just go ahead and read you the press release. First couple notes here, just to give you the full information if you've not heard. The St. Louis Blues, FanDuel Sports Network, and 101 ESPN today made a joint announcement related to their game broadcast and studio shows beginning next season, highlighted by longtime radio play-by-play voice Chris Kerber and analyst Joey Vitale, advancing to the television booth as part of a new simulcast model with 101 ESPN, the team's radio partner. The move by the team and television network includes new hosting roles for the Blues Live pregame and postgame shows, as well as in-game reporting duties as part of the restructuring. The contract for John Kelly as the television play-by-play voice was not renewed. I want to get through a couple quotes here, get you the rest of the information they had here. Additional changes to the broadcasting lineup announced today by the Blues and FanDuel Sports Network include Jamie Rivers returning to his role as a Blues Live analyst, his role from 2009 to 2023 before sliding over to the game analyst chair the last 2 years. Rivers is joined on the Blues Live analyst team by a pair of Hockey Hall of Fame members, Bernie Federko, Chris Pronger, who will now have a greater role with the Blues Live and FanDuel Sports Network among his other media commitments. Andy Strickland expands his role as ringside reporter to include Blues home and road games and also hosting Blues Live for road games. Scott Warman continues his Blues Live hosting duties for home games. Alexa Datt has concluded her 4-year stint hosting Blues Live, so she will still be with FanDuel Sports doing the Cardinals coverage, but not Blues Live. Go ahead and get let's see. We've got Joshua McDonald in the YouTube chat. I'm going to miss John Kelly. I've really enjoyed him for many, many years. And I know that has been a sentiment shared in Blues Nation right now. It's been, a lot of outpouring and love for the Kelly family, and obviously the Kellys have been a massive part of the Blues organization since year 2, because I believe Jack Buck was the original play-by-play guy for the Blues, which is always interesting to hear because, hearing his calls for Blues games, which there's only a few of them that I've heard, is fantastic. But beside that, obviously John Kelly's been a big part of the Blues organization. Came in 2005, relieved a friend of the show, Ken Wilson, when he came in, and I know a lot of people were upset with that, myself included. I was a big Ken Wilson fan. But I will say, as much as I respect John Kelly, and I do think that he is a very good student of the game and fully understands the game he called, which I don't think you can say about some people in our industry, but I do think that he is such an excellent student of the game, followed the game, knew the players very well, always had good things to say, when the play wasn't going, always added good insight. But having said all that, and I mean no disrespect to the man, I was not his favorite. He was not my favorite. I was not a big John Kelly fan on the call. I thought he did an okay job. I think fans got used to him and got used to his voice, and that's why there's a ton of love for him. And I know that when he first joined, sorry, my cat is just, get away. Again, the joys of a live show. But yeah, I think a lot of fans just got used to him being the voice of the Blues. And if you go back to the 2005, 2006, 2007 era, granted the team was awful. People were going to find things to complain about no matter what. I do think that there was a lot of unhappy fans with the way he was calling games. And I'll admit, I was one of those people. I just didn't like his call. I was not a big fan, but I do think that he grew into the role, and again, I think he did an okay job. I was never upset when I was like, oh, John Kelly tonight, but for me, it's just, I just always felt like the Blues could maybe do a little better. And again, I mean, no disrespect to the man. Just thought he was an okay announcer. So sad to see him go, though. The Kelly name is such a big name with this organization. I mean, we've had Dan P. Kelly on before, friend of the show, and he did Blues radio for a little bit, and he did a great job as well. So it's kind of weird to have a Kelly-less Blues broadcast now on radio and TV, which is very odd. So Joshua McDonald also adds, LOL, get wholly drunk to do it. I don't know if that will work out for you, Joshua. That might be not a great idea. As far as the simulcast goes, it's a weird position to be in for me. I love Chris Kerber. I think Kerber is one of the best radio announcers in the league. And I think Joey Vitale has stepped into that role and been just as good, if not better, than Kelly Chase, who we all did not want to see leave that role. But I think Joey Vitale, he kind of adds that like hockey bro mentality, which it sounds like a negative connotation, but it's not. I think it's something that speaks to a large portion of hockey fans, and myself included to a certain extent. And I just think he calls it like he sees it, and I love it. So getting Kerber and Joey to do both, and something that, and I'll say Curt Price and Bill Day have chimed in with me in our chat that we have every week. But yeah, we had a talk today about what happened, and I think that, well, the big point that they made was this is like our childhood, right? This is how it was when we were kids. The simulcast of Ken Wilson and Joe Micheletti on the radio and TV. And to be quite honest, they did a great job with it. Now, knowing what we know now, having our own radio and our own TV guys, maybe we wouldn't feel that way anymore. But I think back in the day, it was well done by the Blues broadcast crew. And so I do think that Kerber and Joey will bring some excitement to the TV broadcasts. And I think that it's going to be fun to, for me at least. Like I said, I'm a big Kerber fan on play-by-play. I'm going to love hearing his calls every single night the Blues play. My biggest concern, though, is I think that the tendency to lean toward the TV broadcast for a broadcaster is apparent. And what I mean by that is I think that it's very easy to forget that you also have a radio audience. This will be a new foray for Kerber and Vitale. So, maybe this is just, pregame jitters for me going into this new season with the simulcast. But I'm just concerned that it's going to be, you're listening on the radio and you're going to hear Joey say, now watch this replay, watch what he does here, and then, Kerber maybe in the middle of the broadcast, going off on a tangent about something that happened, and it's like, okay, I'm listening on the radio. I don't know what's happening. You need to tell me. Like, maybe I'm overthinking it, but that is my biggest concern is the people in the car, the people who can't watch it live and are catching it on the radio. That is my biggest concern. I do think that did happen a little bit with Wilson and Mikael back in the day. But, we'll see how it goes. I could be completely overthinking it. That's my biggest concern. I was always a big Alexa Dat fan. Sad to see her move on from the Blues broadcast, but I'm glad she's staying on and still doing all the Cardinals work. It'll be interesting to see if we see her do more like local work over the winters when there's not Cardinal stuff going on. If we'll see her in local ads or, maybe doing talk show or something somewhere. So maybe she goes on the radio and does a radio program. We'll see. Maybe she becomes the next host of Let's Go Blues Radio. Who knows? But no, I'm sad to see her leave the broadcast. I think she did a pretty good job. Ecstatic that our friend of the show, Bernie Federico, was sticking around. I think Bernie is, I think the role he's in now is where he belongs. He is a great analyst at the desk at intermissions and pre and post game. And I'm happy to see that Chris Pronger is sticking around. You can see over my shoulder here, kind of a big Chris Pronger fan myself. So happy to see that he's getting more of an expanded role. And friend of the show, Andy Strickland, will be doing road games as well as the home games. So that's a big promotion for him. So congratulations to him. But yeah, just definitely a huge change from what we've seen the past couple of years. I think there's a lot of upset people right now over the John Kelly dismissal or I guess non-contract renewal is probably the nice way to say it. And again, I get it. Especially with the name that he carries in the Kelly name, that is a huge loss for the organization and a great man, a great resident of St. Louis. Him and his wife are just wonderful people from all accounts. And, it is a shame. And I do hope he sticks around St. Louis. I mentioned on Twitter, maybe this is retirement for him. I have no idea if he wants to stick around the game or not. Maybe there's some kind of expanded TV role where maybe he'll do more analyst work for whatever that channel is that Channel 4 has for sports. Maybe something a little more easy to ease him into retirement. Maybe he goes on to another team. Maybe there's another job out there that he takes. I have no idea. But either way, I hope that he's okay with this move. I want to wish him the best of luck. And I think Blues fans, there's going to be a hole that a lot of Blues fans are not going to notice. So, are going to notice. But I do think that as the season goes on, people will come to appreciate Kerber and Joey on the broadcast. So big congratulations to them. This is obviously a big bump for them, but let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Diamond Sports Group, this is a cost-cutting move. We all know it. It's, not a surprise, really. When they even said that they were going to replace paying, I was surprised. I really thought that when Darren Pang left, it was going to be, well, John, you're doing this by yourself, which broadcasting games by yourself is not fun. So I was, I was surprised by that. But at the same time, this is a cost-cutting move. I think that if the Blues coverage ever does officially get sold, I could see this possibly changing. I could see maybe the Blues employing Kerber and Vitale for TV and finding more radio guys to do the work. But right now, I do. Business-wise, and I know a lot of fans hate it, I do think this makes sense for Diamond Sports Group. And like I said, this is not new to sports coverage, especially hockey coverage. And I do think it's worked before. I do think it was fine. Again, my biggest worry is just the radio call. I hope that doesn't suffer at all. But overall, I just think that it's a cost-cutting move that Diamond Sports Group had to make. We don't want Diamond around anymore, right? We don't want FanDuel Sports Network. Nobody does. Nobody enjoys it. But unfortunately, that is the TV partner for the St. Louis Blues. So until that changes, these are the kind of things we're going to notice. And, hopefully with this, because I'll say, we've talked about in before, the intermission reports, the pre and post game, it's all so formulaic. It's the same stuff over and over. There's no more. Back in the day, for those that are young and may not know, they used to do these like, I forget, I'm drawing a blank on what they're called, but like these featurettes at intermission on like a certain Blues employee or something about the city or something going on in the NHL, whatever it was. And they just don't do that. Like none of the networks do it anymore. And I just think that is a huge miss. I loved that stuff, like the human interest stuff. So maybe that's something they pour a little bit more money into now that they're not fully paying the salary of a and the travel of a broadcaster. Now it's like kind of a split share, I would imagine, with 101 ESPN. That's the kind of thing I'd like to see more. So maybe that, people are saying, nobody even watches the pre and post game shows. Nobody watches the intermission shows. Maybe they put more of an effort into it now, and maybe they are watchable. And again, no offense to any of the voices that do the shows. I mean, those people are fine. It's just a matter of, it's the same thing. 82 games. It's the same exact formula for every game. And I think it just gets boring for some people, myself included. So maybe if that changes, maybe if it's, hey, we're going to have like way cooler stuff to do and talk about and show you in these other shows, hey, that's a win-win for everybody. So we'll see how it goes. We will have more on this, I'm sure, as the season comes closer. But yes, definitely want to send a big send-off. I do not have a beer tonight, but my Rockin' That ID Life, I will cheers John Kelly. Excellent work for the St. Louis Blues. Again, I was not his biggest fan, but he's been around this organization a long time and definitely has earned his stripes as a Blues legend. So thank you to John Kelly. All right. Well, I think that will do it, folks. Special thanks goes out to our friend Eddie Garcia for coming on the show. And then, before we move on, I will say Joe Schmo has a comment in the chat. He says, in the past, the Blues broadcast was backed by an actual TV station. That is true. That is kind of what we're missing right now. But again, this is the state we're in right now. There's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately, until that contract ends, which I don't even know when that is. I'd love to find that out because, it's I can't think of one person who's ever said anything positive about Diamond Sports Group. So hopefully we are done with them here in the next couple of years. Thanks to our amazing sponsor, strikewithmike.com. Remember, if you need any realty help, either buying or selling your home, strikewithmike.com. He does give discounts to Let's Go Blues Radio listeners. Please reach out to him, Mike at strikewithmike.com, or just visit his site, strikewithmike.com. We've got Christina Sartori saying she has a Bud Light Lime here. By the way, it's the lady. Sorry, big ladies man fan. For those of you that remember the ladies' man, Tim Meadows. That will wrap up episode 36 of season 14 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We'll talk to you next week. For Eddie Garcia of the Puck Podcast and the Locked On LA Kings podcast, and the absent Curt Price and Bill Day, who are still facing allegations, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues. Miss you, JK.
A Mark Goodson television production.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
One little, two little, three little engines. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little engines. Uh-oh, sorry, that one was a half-breed.
Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you. Staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full